Hi everybody, Lawrence here. Today we're going to talk about this item. It is called Papillion de Metz. What is Papillion de Metz, you ask? Good question. Stay tuned for this episode of Papillion de Metz happened basically in the siege of Metz. Let's go back a little bit in time in history to the Franco-Prussian War of 1870. Much of Europe was in the height of their nationalism. Italy in 1861, 62 had already begun to become the Kingdom of Italy. Lombardy Venetia was one of the last places to fall into the Kingdom of Italy. In 1859, Austria had to cede Lombardy Venetia to the Emperor of France, Napoleon III, who then gave it to the Kingdom of Italy, and it became a part of the Kingdom of Italy. In 1866, there was a massive Prussian-Austrian war. Now, they were both German-speaking, and basically Bismarck wanted to take the whole of Austria under its wing. And there was a war, and Austria lost, and pieces began to fall into place. And once Austria lost and there were more and more German-speaking areas, France felt that it was losing its place as the center of Europe. Otto Bismarck, the Chancellor of Prussia, forced France into declaring war on it in 1870 because the Prussian Chancellor wanted to convince 4 states who had not yet joined the Confederation to become a member. States such as Baden, Bavaria, Württemberg, and another one, Hesse-Darmstadt. France did declare war on Prussia. And as you all know, it's a part of history, there was a big war. And as part of the war, Paris was sieged, and we won't go into that because it's a different subject entirely. Marshal Bazaine, of a part of the French army, after defeat in August of 1870, he retreated to a fortress known as Metz. He thought that he could hold out for more time. The French army of the Rhine, led by Marshal Bazaine, was defeated at the battle on the 18th of August 1870, and they retreated to the fortress of Metz. And they thought that they could hold out. However, unfortunately for them, being a fortress, the Prussian army managed to totally surround the fortress. The French actually believed that they could hold out for over 4 months, but the calculations were incorrect because all of a sudden there were about 170,000 soldiers in that fortress. And really there was not enough to eat or drink. Despite their calculations, they worked out that they only had provisions for 14 days, 2 weeks. Here we have a fortress packed with soldiers running out of food, and they needed to get food. Now, how do you get a message out? A person by the name of Dr. Papillion, and there are actually no photos of Dr. Papillion on the net, not that I could find, shall we say. So I'll represent him by a butterfly, because basically Papillon is a butterfly in French. Who's the most famous Papillon that we know? The movie called Papillon. Anyway, Major Papillon turned to his friend, a pharmacist, Major Dr. Julien Janel, and there are photos of him, and suggested the idea of sending hot air balloons.
Only you. Goodness gracious, big balls of fire.
Janel actually liked that idea, and he took the idea to the head of the fortress, which in those days was Marshal Bazaine, because he was the leading commander there, and he basically thought it was a silly idea, but he gave them money to continue this. And frankly, that is the end of Dr. Papillon's influence in this entire saga. Dr. Janel, being a pharmacist, he created hot air balloons. And they put in small messages into these hot air balloons and started sending them into the air. And they became little butterflies. Maybe that's where they got the name from, I don't know. The initial balloons were known as the pharmacist balloons because Janel was a pharmacist. From the 5th of September 1870 to about the 15th of September, Dr. Janel sent up 14 hydrogen-filled balloons into the air. Not all of them arrived, few of them arrived, but some did. Apparently, they carried about, these 14 balloons carried about 3,000 letters. You send these balloons up into the air, and they float and float and float and whatever. And how do you stop them? How do you stop these little pieces of paper from getting wet? Well, apparently they coated both sides of the small piece of paper with varnish in order to stop to coat them from water, for example, rain, whatever. 7 of the 14 initial balloons made it to their destination. From one source that I saw, less than 20 of these letters are currently known. Marshal Bazin felt that this had promise, so he decided to take it away from the pharmacists and give it to one of his military wings, the Artillery and Engineering Application School. And that was they decided to continue the work, but they decided that the letters were to be written on onion skin paper, and they were to be measured, every one exactly 10 centimeters by 5 centimeters. In other words, 10 centimeters by 5 centimeters. And they sent these up in the air, and these letters became known as the balloons of the School of Military and Engineering. They were sent up from the 16th of September to the 2nd of October. Each of these balloons carried thousands of these little butterflies, as it became known. And once again, I don't know if the name was butterfly because they fluttered in the wind, or else it was because of Dr. Papillion. Now, these letters by the School of Engineering, of Military and Engineering, they were basically supposed to be for the people, and the people to send messages to their family, but only personal messages. Let me read to you one kind of message.
My dear friend, I am writing to let you know that I am well. I intend to return from the war safe and sound. My compliments to your wife.
Marshal Bazin believed that the Prussians had managed to capture some of these letters and discontinued their use on October 3rd. Today, unfortunately, despite them being thousands and thousands and thousands of letters sent, apparently, according to Yvette and Tellier, only about less than 150 are currently known. That's not very much. By October 20th, the food provisions of the fortress were running out, and they needed to get food. What kind of food did they start eating? Of course, horses. The horse population of the fortress dropped considerably. They had to get food somehow. They didn't have enough food to provide for the soldiers and for the animals. On the 27th of October, Marshal Bazin eventually had to surrender to Prussian forces. His people were starving and he had no choice. As a result of this war, shortly afterwards, the four states became a part of the King of Prussia and the Confederation of German States, and modern day Germany was born. So in essence, it was successful. Anyway, friends, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned. See you next time. Bye.